China accusing the U.S. of, quote, creating panic over the Ukraine crisis, lashing out at the Biden administration for announcing new sanctions against Russia and supplying weapons to help strengthen Ukraine's defenses. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman telling reporters the U.S. actions against Russia are, quote, raising tensions, creating panic, and even playing up the schedule of war. If someone is adding fuel to the fire while blaming others, then that behavior is responsible and immoral. Sanctions have never been a fundamental and effective way to solve problems. Well, joining me now is Stephen Yates, a former Deputy National Security Advisor. Stephen, good to see you. The CCP can save their lectures, I think, on foreign policy, but I got to say, when they talk about sanctions not being very effective, I think that point is kind of being proven correct here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Every once in a while, what they're saying has a degree of truth. Of course, it's not for the reason they intend. But the fact of the matter is the sanctions that have been announced so far are targeting entities that already are listed under sanctions. Russia's economy, because of high oil prices, is already humming along. They don't have a high level of debt relative to GDP. And so, sadly, while these kinds of moves might have a little bit more leverage or bite to them right now, they probably are not at anywhere near the level of affecting decision making.
Stephen, you look at what the Biden administration has been doing on this and saying again and again, attack is imminent, it's near, it's just about to happen, they're ready to uncoil. And there is something to that continued prediction of war and conflict where you say, wait a second, why are we talking so much about what's going to happen for weeks now? Why isn't there more talk about what the administration can do to get in front of that? It seems like they're playing from behind when they've had a lot of time to get in front of it, Stephen.
No, it's been a very confusing and conspicuous part of this entire exercise. Of course, it's wrong for Russia to try to seek the sovereign territory of another neighbor. At the same time, it seems like the Biden administration has been playing kind of communications game of trying to get ahead of what they know to be some kind of a problem that they'll fail at. And so instead of improving deterrence, instead of engaging in direct diplomatic activity that might have de-escalated, instead of sending material well in advance to create some sense of deterrent or disincentive, even on the sanctions, they waited until the day they call Invasion Day to move forward on them. There just hasn't been anywhere near the usual effort to try to diffuse or deter a conflict. Instead, we seem to be casual observers and just playing color commentary.
That is exactly what I think a lot of people see here. It's like the administration is spending so much time trying to spin what they think the outcome of the messaging is going to be instead of in substance dealing with what's actually happening on the ground. But I got to get your take on this, Stephen. Former President Donald Trump is predicting that Russia's assault on Ukraine will influence Chinese President Xi Jinping to move on Taiwan. Listen to this.
China's going to be next. China's going to...
You think they're going to go after Taiwan?
Oh, absolutely. Not with me, they wouldn't have. Yeah. They're waiting till after the Olympics. Now the Olympics ended, and look at your stopwatch, right? He wants that just like, it's almost like twin sisters right here, because you have one that wants Taiwan. I think equally badly. Somebody said, who wants it more? I think probably equally badly.
China's watching, obviously. How are they reading this? What do you think they're prepared to do?
Well, there's no question they're watching closely, and it's a little bit of a mixed bag for them. And of course, were Russia to overtake Ukraine, that would affect some American interests, perhaps, but the president hasn't even really said what they are, other than values. If the Chinese were to take Taiwan, it would affect everyday American life in a deep and profound way that I don't think people have contemplated. So much of our smart world and our life depends on chips that are heavily influenced by the supply chain from Taiwan. And there are other issues that would come up that would be much more strategically significant. So the Biden team failure to support allies and help them take care of their own neighborhood in Europe takes time and effort away from Asia. Thankfully, we have some more committed allies in Asia like Japan that are on this, but we're way behind the deterrence curve. And that, I think, is very provocative and dangerous.
And you think about chips, oil and gas, three of the big pillars of the inflation that we're seeing, all of them at risk. And every one of our adversaries looking at what's happening right now. And I think they're licking their lips, Stephen. I hate to say it, but I really think that's the posture they have. We got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us today.